Namaste everyone. Thank you for watching this video. So this is actually a request from a YouTube audience who had actually asked me to make a video on why Vedic astrology predictions are not always accurate. Okay, so this is actually a death question for an astrologer, because obviously everyone who practices Vedic astrology, he or she knows that that astrology predictions will not always be accurate, right? And this is one of the reasons why astrology is criticized, because people, they want exact predictions, right? Whenever they go to an astrologer, they think that the astrologer must predict their future to the to the exact dot, but that is obviously not possible, right? But then I've just made this video to to clarify to clarify a few reasons why Vedic astrology predictions are not always accurate. And as a Vedic astrologer, I completely agree with the fact that Vedic astrology predictions are not always accurate, and they cannot be accurate for for the reasons that I'll be mentioning in this video. Okay, so we know that astrology is a part of Vedanga, which is known as the Vedanga. Actually refers to Veda plus Anga, which is the English version for the limbs of the Veda. Okay, and the science of Vedic astrology finds its mention in the Shukla Yajurveda, and it was developed by great sages like Parashara, Gemini, Bhrigu, and so on. Okay, so what happens is that these sages or these saints who developed Vedic astrology, they had divine vision. Okay, that is the reason astrology is also known as Jyotish, the eye of the Vedas. So these people, they had divine vision, and based on that divine vision, they wrote down their whatever they have written down in their books, right? But then, because because these saints had divine vision, so the astrology principles that were laid down by them so many centuries ago, they cannot be wrong. But still, we have to admit the fact that astrologers do get it wrong. I have got it wrong personally, right? Many a times I have had my clients call me that, okay, you have predicted this for me, but it did not become true. So I have had my fair share of criticism as well. And so will all the other astrologers, no matter how great he or she may claim to be. So of course, we will get wrong predictions, right? Because astrology is perfect, the astrologer is not. Okay, the science is perfect, but the scientist is not, right? But then there are other reasons also why why Vedic astrology predictions are not always accurate. Okay, so the first reason, according to me, is is the availability of of an incorrect birth timing. Okay, or sometimes what happens is that the Jataka, or the one who is coming for a consultation, he or she provides a wrong birth time. Okay, so the point is, if you are giving a wrong birth time, it does not make much of a difference to the Lagna chart or the Rashi chart, that is the D1 chart. But if you go deeper into the other divisional charts, you must have the correct birth time. Okay, it should not be it should not be even, because if you go deeper into the Varga charts, the divisional charts, the Sastyamsha chart changes every 2 minutes. Okay, so this wrong birth time can actually mess up the predictions of the astrologer, right? So the point being, you should try to get a very accurate, the birth time that you're providing to the astrologer should be as accurate as possible. Okay, and of course, Indian mothers, they usually know about the birth time of the children. The whatever birth time your mother has provided, that is usually accurate. Okay, but nowadays things have changed. Okay, and if you ask me when to consider the birth time, it is when the umbilical cord is cut. That is the time which is regarded as the birth time. Okay, so if you don't have the birth time, right, if you don't have the birth time, then at least go for a birth time rectification. That is always the correct way to go. Okay, go for a birth time rectification and then get your chart analysis done. That would give you more accurate results, right? Then the other reason why astrology predictions, they don't work, is because astrologers, they don't have the habit of using all the divisional charts. Okay, of course, most astrologers, they use the D1 chart and the D9 chart, but then there are other charts, the other Vargas, which should have importance. For example, to see education, you cannot see the education of a native from the D1 chart. To make more accurate predictions, you must go to the D24, which is known as the Siddhamsha charts. Okay, similarly, for getting the accurate results of the marriage, it is not it is not, it is not sufficient to see the seventh house of Jivan. You must go to the Navamsha chart, right? For career, similarly, people have a habit of looking at the 10th house, but I have maintained in all my webinars, I've maintained in all my courses that the 10th house is not about seeing your career. It's not about seeing your profession. It's about seeing how you complete work. Okay, so for your career or your profession, you have to look at the D10 chart. Similarly, for children, you should always look at the D7 chart. So all predictions must be made from the Rashi chart, but for final confirmation, you have to look at the divisional charts. Okay, so that because that is not done by many astrologers, okay, even by the leading astrologers, astrology predictions will go wrong. Okay, and then the other point, okay, the other problem which comes, this is exactly this problem actually comes from the clients, because they end up asking too many questions. Okay, because the astrologer is always short on time. Okay, some astrologers, they have a habit of providing consultations for, say, a standard time of 30 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, but the point is, when people go for a consultation or for a reading, they have a habit of asking too many questions, and most of those questions that that the Jataka asks, they are way off the mark. Okay, they are not specific. Okay, they are not specific. So ideally, what you should do is that you should have only 3 very pertinent questions in your mind, and only you should ask the astrologer only about these 3 questions. Okay, so that is my personal opinion. But if you ask too many questions, and this is something that I have faced, the reading actually starts going haywire. Okay, and then comes the responsibility on the part of the astrologer. Okay, so Vedic astrology has a lot of dasha systems, the Vimshottari dasha system being the most popular, but then there are other dasha systems as well. For example, the Chara dasha system that has been explained very beautifully by by Sri K. N. Rauji. Okay, then there is the Naisargika dasha system. So an astrologer should be well versed or well acquainted with at least 2 or 3 dasha systems, and only then the predictions should be given. Okay, this is again my opinion, because for a prediction to come true, the astrologer must cross verify with at least 2 or 3 dasha systems. So what happens is then the astrologer can be confident, or then the astrologer can be almost sure that the prediction will come true. Okay, and many astrologers, they don't use the Ashtak Varga for prediction, and that is a very wrong thing to do. People think that Ashtak Varga is an interplay of numbers, but it is more than that. Okay, it is more than that. So the astrologer should always use the score of Ashtak Varga, the score provided by the Ashtak Varga, to verify his or her prediction. Okay, now this then the other reason why why Vedic astrology predictions, they don't come true, is because sometimes the astrologer may be running Sade Sati. Okay, or sometimes the person asking the question may be running Sade Sati, and we know that the planets, they have the power to influence us even outside our physical body. Okay, so suppose you are going to an astrologer who is running your Sade Sati. Now that astrologer will not tell you that he is running his Sade Sati. That astrologer will not tell you that he is running his his Dhaya or his Kantakshani period. So if you have done some bad karmas, then you will actually end up going to such an astrologer, and the astrologer will also end up giving certain wrong predictions and even certain wrong remedies. Okay, so what to do then for an astrologer if you are going through, if some astrologer is going through a Sade Sati period, or or a difficult transit of Rahu and Ketu. Suppose Rahu is coming to the ascendant, or Ketu is transiting the ascendant, then it is almost sure that the astrologer's predictions will go wrong. So in that case, the astrologer should always remember his Ishta Devata. Okay, the astrologer should always remember his or her Ishta Devata, and this should be a norm before reading any chart. Okay, so the other point is that nowadays most astrologers, they don't follow the lifestyle that is prescribed in the Vedas. Okay, the astrologers have to do some kind of cleansing every day, because they meet a lot of clients. A lot of people come to them with their problems, and the astrologer, they don't really know how to if the astrologer, and he or she, if the astrologer does not know how to cleanse themselves every day, then the predictions could actually go haywire. Okay, similarly, the person who is asking the question, if you're going to an astrologer, then ensure that the night before, before you go to an astrologer, you eat well, you sleep well, and you don't drink. Okay, so at least you should maintain a precaution of this. You should eat well, you should sleep well, and you should not drink. Okay, there should not be any trace of alcohol in your stomach if you're going on that night, on a particular night, if you're going to meet an astrologer to preview the next day. Similarly, if you're taking a consultation via the phone, the same procedures should be followed. For example, if the astrologer has given you a time, to talk to you in the evening, that at least ensure that during the day, you are well rested, you have eaten well, and you have not consumed alcohol. Okay, so that is how how a question should be asked. Then other reason why Vedic astrology predictions, they are not accurate, because some of the astrologers, unfortunately, they are not very technically sound in astrology. Okay, and because they are not technically sound, so they end up giving wrong predictions, and this is something that we have to accept. Okay, the community of astrologers, they have to accept that there are many astrologers out there who have destroyed many lives by giving wrong predictions. Okay, and unfortunately, I'm using the word unfortunately because it is actually unfortunate that most of the astrologers, they are into the business of selling gemstones. So even if a person does not require a gemstone, most astrologers, they coerce the person to buy a gemstone from their shop, or from their chamber, either by force, or by scaring tactics. Okay, so fear mongering has actually become a very big business for some astrologers, and this is really unfortunate. Okay, so at the end of the day, there is also a lot of propaganda against Vedic astrology, because there, as I said, there are a lot of astrologers who are out there to rob you of your hard-earned money by asking you to invest in gemstones and other remedies. Okay, so there has been a lot of propaganda. Of course, some of this propaganda is actually based on facts, but then there are some people who actually don't subscribe to astrology, and it's fine, because at the end of the day, the law of karma will work whether you believe it or not. Okay, and the other point being, an astrologer can only trace out the roadmap that God has written for you in this lifetime. Okay, an astrologer can only point to the problems that you're having in this birth, but no astrologer can actually go and clean your own backyard. It is you, the client, the jataka, who has to go and do it. Okay, so this is something very important to understand. An astrologer can only give out predictions and remedies. The real action actually lies with you. Okay, the real part of the work, it lies with you. You are the one who has to go out there and and clean your own backyard. If there are certain pending karmas, or if there are certain things that you must do, it is you who has to do it. Never expect the astrologer to do it on your behalf. Okay, so that's it, right? That's it from me in this video. Kindly like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And if you want a consultation regarding your chart, you are most welcome to reach out to me at the number given in the description box. All right, thank you everyone. Om Gurave Namaha.